Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Relationship Advice. In today's video we're going to take a look at 4 different relationship problems that need some advice and some have updates. So let's not waste any time and get started with the first one. I've been dating my girlfriend Laura for just over 2 years. We met as I was finishing my master's and she was in her last year of undergrad as we attended the same university. We have a pretty strong relationship overall. We get along well and have pretty similar views, goals in life. And I love her a great deal. She's definitely been the healthiest relationship I've ever had and I see a strong future with her. This weekend has been awful, however. My best friend Rob came to me about a month ago and told me that he had a plan to propose to his long-term girlfriend, Grace, of about 7 years. The problem was that they lived together and she's a very clean person, so he was afraid she might find the ring while cleaning before he was ready to propose. I offered to hide it for him at my house until he was ready and he handed it over. I hid it in the back of my sock drawer and honestly kind of forgot about it until last Monday when he asked for it back. He successfully proposed to Grace yesterday and she posted a picture of the two of them on her Instagram with the ring clearly visible. Literally 5 minutes after she posted, Laura rang me absolutely fuming. She told me she'd found the ring 3 weeks ago, so why had I given it to Ron for Grace when I'd clearly chosen it specially for her? Was Grace mocking her with her post, just rubbing her nose in the fact that she'd stolen her ring? I tried to talk her down and explain I'd just been keeping it safe for Rob and that I'd never intended to propose to her with it. But that only made her more upset and she started screaming at me that I'd absolutely built up her hopes and just destroyed them. She hung up on me, then texted me that I had 3 months to propose to her with a better ring than Grace's or she's going to break up with me. Am I wrong for thinking this is a red flag? I know that she probably was really excited and I absolutely never meant to hurt her feelings with all of this. But the ring was never for her and she never should have known about it. We don't live together and I don't know what she was doing snooping in my drawers, or when she had the time to look in there, or what she was looking for. More than that, I am 100% not ready for marriage. We've only been together for 2 years, haven't lived together, haven't even talked about marriage yet. I want to be living together for at least a year before we get engaged. What do? I totally understand why she'd be upset, but I just feel like she's invaded my privacy by looking through my stuff, and that I'm being treated badly for something that was never meant as a snub towards her. This is the first big fight we've had, and I'm not sure if I'm just seeing red flags because I'm hurt, or they're really there. Whew. Okay, so my initial response was, run. The way I saw it was, she's got no business going through your stuff, and then when it doesn't go her way, demand that you have a time to propose to her with a better ring than the other person. All of those things just seem really weird to me, and that for me would be a huge red flag. However, there was one comment that gives a completely different angle to look at this whole situation and really helps to see it in a very more empathic way with more light to it. So let's get to that one. It's from Wade NYC, and it says, I think a brief period of irrationality might make sense. She handled things poorly and owes you an apology, but unlike other commenters, I'm not sure I tell you to run just yet. Ignoring the snooping bit for a moment. Your girlfriend finds a ring and naturally assumes the ring is for her. Why else would you have tried to hide it in the sock drawer? So you didn't lose it, obviously, but this wouldn't occur to her. For a month, she does her best to play it cool, but her heart is singing. She's picturing the ceremony, who she'll pick as her bridesmaids, the dress she'll wear. Maybe she tells some close friends they'll be bridesmaids, they tell everyone else. They try to figure out the next dinner you've planned with her so they can get your girlfriend a manicure. For those Instagram proposal pictures she's a little embarrassed to be so excited about. She tells her mother, who tells the whole family, and everyone's buzzing with anticipation. Her parents, if you've met them, expect you to get in touch soon to ask their blessing. She's surprised how coolly you play things. You don't seem to have made any fancy dinner plans you tell her about, but she senses there's something off in how you behave. She knows you're thinking about the proposal too, as well as you try and hide it. Maybe you mention a trip to someone's hometown or something. As she sees it, everything is to be analyzed. She assumes this proposal is going to be in the next month or so, and anytime you make plans, she wonders what the real plans are. She pictures what your children might look like if you're moving into a new place together, what couch you'll buy in your new place, what you'll put on the registry. Then, she's in line at the supermarket or sitting in her car in the driveway and she's thinking about you, about your relationship. She's felt lost since finishing her undergraduate program. Without those academic life tracks, things feel a little free-form, and that's scary. But now, things seem a little clearer. Of course, marrying you makes sense. You're the best relationship she's ever had. Imagine how crushing it must be, how tight in knots her stomach is when she sees the ring, her ring, on someone else's finger. For a month, she's had her whole life figured out. In a moment, everything is instantly gone. She zooms in on the ring in a cold sweat and it feels like you've broken up with her. She's temporarily unable to process things in the most rational way. She processes her grief the way many people do. Dabda. As soon as the initial paralysis of shock wears off, she calls you. She's clearly in denial. She refuses to accept the ring was not for her, so she grills you on why you gave it away. Her heart is beating through her chest. It doesn't make sense to her. There's no way it was for another girl. It was in your dresser. Next up, you've got anger. In a classic frustrated outpouring of bottled up emotion, she screams at you for ruining the life she's mentally been settling into for a month. She's got a dozen people she needs to lose her dignity in front of and countless others through the grapevine. And why? Because of you, it seems. Then comes bargaining, seeking in vain for a way out, like when Kevin from The Office spills his chili and tries to sweep it back into the pot off the floor, or when Kevin from The Office crushes a turtle and tries to glue it back together. She's trying to piece back together this fantasy she's had for a month, compounded by family and friends at all costs. Silly as it is, pointless as it is, she's determined to make it work, so she gives you a crazy ultimatum. Crazy enough to work? Well, you came here, so maybe. She's probably working through depression right now. I think she's totally valid in grieving. Marriage is a big deal, and in a way, she's going through a change not similar to a breakup right now. I don't think she's valid in directing it at you. She snooped, and she got her punishment for it. A bigger punishment than she was expecting, and a punishment that came completely out of her own actions. Moving forward, I think you should treat this as though she's grieving over something entirely unrelated to you, because she is, though she doesn't seem to know it. Hopefully, with a little time, she'll cool off, rescind the ultimatum, and be deeply apologetic, and then you can cautiously move forward in the relationship. If she doesn't apologize for snooping, for her behavior over the phone, for everything, then I say run. And this comment did change my mind. After reading the original post, I had not at all thought about it from the girlfriend's perspective, the way Wade NYC puts it, and I have to say it does make sense. OP does post in a couple of replies that this was completely out of her natural character, so maybe it is exactly how Wade NYC is saying. I hope OP takes this advice, and let's hope the girlfriend does apologize for snooping, which completely not cool, and for her overreaction about, the ultimatum to marrying him and a better ring and all that stuff. What do you guys think? Do you think this commenter Wade NYC has a good point, or do you think OP should just cut his loss and run? Okay, now let's move on to the second post. A few weeks ago, my boyfriend, 27 male, got his results back from one of those Ancestry tests. He's never been interested in his family history before, but one of his friends bought him the kit for his birthday. A few days after seeing his results, which were nothing special, about 95% European and mostly just from England where we live, he really excitedly told me that he'd been messaged by a group of people about a shared relative. Apparently, all of them have an ancestor in common, my boyfriend's great time-tense grandfather, that can be linked to royal lineage. I was pleased and a bit amused that my boyfriend was so happy, especially since he seemed to be telling every single person he knows and he posted on Facebook about it. However, since then, I've noticed some uncomfortable behaviors from him that is making me second guess our relationship. He quit his job 2 weeks ago, accountant, which was very unexpected and something we hadn't discussed before now. He gets defensive when I try to bring it up and ask if there was something in particular that triggered it. He has only said that he doesn't believe the 9-to-5 life is right for him. He has suddenly started insisting on using condoms when we are passionate. We have been together 3 years and my birth control, the copper coil, has never been an issue for him before. My boyfriend has started saying it's not good enough as a form of contraceptive by itself, which would be fine, except he has started making a few comments alongside this about how I'm trying to steal his genes and implying that I want his bloodline. He won't kiss me in public anymore or touch me at all around his family, which he has explained by saying he doesn't like PDA anymore and it's embarrassing. He is fine touching me when we're alone, however. He has asked me to look into my family history by making a family tree to go alongside his. It's not something I care about or want to pursue. My family are also immigrants, so I imagine harder to track than his. But since I refused, he has made jokes that I must be scared to find out my family don't match up to his. As a side note, by traditional standards, my family are a lot better off and more middle class than his, although this has never affected our relationship. We've generally had a really good relationship before now, and there have never been any major communication issues or anything like that. I'm really confused as to what's going on through his mind right now, and I could use some advice. Thank you. Wow, that boyfriend seems to have really taken or bought into this, he being part royal or something like that, and he thinks he's gonna get some inheritance or something? I don't know. I think he's going mental. That comment about her trying to steal his bloodline? What? Oh man, that's ridiculous. However, let's see what the community says. Cheesebroad says, "Is he stupid?" And that's it, that's the comment. Then, Is This It 1983 says, "He sounds deluded. Does His Royal Highness have a history of mental illness? He will be rocking up with a few corgis before long." To which OP replies, "He has suffered from depression in the past, but not since we've been together." And finally, Mildred92 says, "I think the best way to respond to stupidity is with stupidity. Order a title online. They're all over the internet and cost about £20 for a piece of land in Scotland. Once you receive it, tell him his distant lineage isn't good enough for your ladyship and everything needs to go back to normal." In all seriousness, if you're not trolling, he might need help with a manic episode. A sudden onset of erratic behavior probably isn't a normal sign. I like the idea of OP getting a ladyship. I think that sounds fun. But however, if this is a manic thing or he was depressed, maybe he's clinging on to this idea of being somewhat royal in a way to think better of himself or have a little bit more self-esteem. So maybe they should take a look at that. In any case, those comments about her trying to steal his bloodline, I do think that's a little bit carried away and maybe he watched too much Game of Thrones. Alright, let's move on to post number 3. I overheard my wife, 24 female, talking to one of her best friends on the phone while I, 26 male, was passing the bedroom. This friend is in a serious relationship. My wife then said to her, "Sweetie, remember it's your choice. Don't settle for just anyone. That's the mistake I made. Who knows who else I could have had? OP was my very last resort, and now look where it made me end up." Hearing that honestly broke my heart in two. Does she even love me? Why am I being treated as a second base? Am I being dramatic and overreacting? I haven't said anything about it since. I honestly don't know what to do. But hearing her say that has really made me upset. That is one sucky situation, that your spouse, whether it's a wife or a husband, doesn't matter, says that to a friend, and you know, without them knowing you're kind of overhearing it, it sucks because you know they mean it. Anyways, there's an update for this one, so let's go to the update. Just did one of the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Today after breakfast, I told her we should sit down and talk. She was hesitant, but I said it was important. We went to the living room and she said to me, "I already know what this is about." My post apparently made it to the front page, so of course she saw it after scrolling down a bit under popular. Of course, the waterworks started happening right away. I told her what she said had deeply hurt me, but obviously she already knew that since she read my post. Through her tears, she said, "I was just joking, I wasn't serious." She then went on saying stuff like, "I love you, I love you." I told her I can't be in a marriage where my significant other doesn't love me the same way I love them. She tried to tell me that she loved me and that I meant something to her. But it was all BS. She said she didn't want to lose me. I told her I don't think this marriage was the right decision. And from there, I basically told her it was over. I told her I knew how she really felt about me and that it was effed up. She basically played with my emotions. For all those wondering, we have no kids, and I pay fully for the apartment we live in, and I own almost everything we have other than her clothes. I even pay for her car, so after all of this, she'll have little to nothing left. Before our marriage, I agreed to sign a prenup, and at that moment, I've never been so happy with a decision I've made in my life. After that, it was a few seconds of awkward silence before she said to me, "F you!" She started screaming at me, telling me, "You can't just end things like that." I told her I could do whatever I wanted, and that's when she became very hostile. She screamed at me saying, "You're the effing worst relationship I've ever been in. You think I can't find someone again? Do you think you'll ever find someone as good as me? You're an effing idiot, OP." She grabbed her bag and phone and said, "I'm leaving," before slamming the door behind her. At that moment, I felt like I was on one of those dramatic sitcoms you'd find on TV. I sat down on the couch and cried, and I'm still crying as I type this up. It's both happy and sad tears, and I knew it was only time before she cheated on me or left me. She never loved me, it was obvious. Our relationship only went one way, and I feel like a complete idiot for not seeing it earlier. I live in California, and I'm going to start the process to annul our marriage. Tomorrow, I'm going to start throwing all of her belongings into trash bags, because that's essentially where they belong. I'm not throwing away her stuff, just using the trash bags as a way to give her back the things she owns. Well, OP showed spine, that's good for him. The one thing I am wondering is his partner's mindset. She's 24 years old and she had to settle for a last resort? At 24? I'm wondering about her life expectations, that she thought she had to be married by 24 or sooner or something like that. But maybe that's just me. Alright, let's move on to the final post of the video. 2 nights ago, my fiance accidentally set fire to our kitchen and the fire extinguisher in our apartment was defective. The fire spread quickly and burned through most of the building before they were able to contain it. I wasn't home, so I wasn't there to help my girlfriend gather anything up. If I was, I would have forced her outside and told her to leave it all. It's just stuff. She chose differently. First, she took our 2 dogs outside and handed them off to a neighbor on leashes. Then she went back in. At this point, the kitchen was engulfed in flames and she couldn't make it into the living room, but she could get into the bedroom. She knew she wouldn't be able to make 2 trips and she had to act fast. Both of us have lost parents. I lost my dad 3 years ago. He was a friend of her father, so she knew him, though not very well, but he died before I actually met her. I have most of my dad's stuff in a storage unit, but in our bedroom I have his ashes, 2 guns, and a couple of very personal things from my time with him. She lost her mom as a teenager, and because her father is a butthole, she only has a few small things of hers and her wedding dress. Instead of choosing to save the few things that she has of her mom's, she gathered up my father's things, wrapped them in a sheet, and ran out of the room. I don't even know how to begin to say thank you. I'm so completely devastated by her losing her mom's things like that, and I can't imagine what she was thinking or how much she must really love me to make that decision. I don't know how to repay her or where to begin. Can anybody think of a nice gesture I can do to make it up to her? She must be devastated. I can't imagine losing the last bit of my dad. So for this post, I'm just going to read one comment that I believe sums it all up. Country Lemon says, "Clearly, in that moment, she chose to save what she loves most of all, your heart and happiness. I think she thought to herself to save what she had left, you. She has all her mom's memories wrapped up inside her. She didn't know what losing your dad's stuff would do to you, so she decided not to risk it and protect you. God damn, that's powerful. You better marry that girl. Just spend the rest of your life treating her right." My side note would be to get something engraved with her mother's name. My best friend's husband got her a ring with her mom's name engraved on the inside and their birthstones side by side in the band. That's a nice idea. Okay, well, once again, we've reached the end of the video. If you liked it, like always, I'm going to encourage you guys to just click like, and if you haven't joined the community yet, go ahead and subscribe. I try to put content that you guys really enjoy every day. So, having said that, I will see you guys on the next video.